Gwen Shamblin's daughter, Elizabeth Hannah Shamblin, says she's ready to take over her mother's position and she's ready to make history. She's ready to take her mother's church to the next level. This was a recording obtained, and we're going to talk about it. Let's go. So, for those that are not familiar with the Gwen Shamblin story, I've linked some information in the description box. Essentially, Gwen Shamblin was the leader of Remnant Fellowship, a cult. People have spoken out against this cult for quite some time. Gwen, her husband, and a couple of other members of the church died in an airplane crash. And so a lot has come about in this church, in this cult, let's say that. As of recent, her son, Michael, has spoken out against the church and wanting to expose a lot of what's happened. Let's review this recent report that was just released yesterday on this recording that Elizabeth Hannah Shamblin was heard saying that she was ready to take over. Mind you, she's been a bit reclusive since the death of her mother. She hasn't been seen publicly in the leadership. I believe my understanding is that she's been sending messages, and so they kind of play those messages through the fellowship when they have services. Let me know your thoughts in the comments as we're reacting to this.
You have never before heard recording, right?
That's exactly right. And in that recording, Michael's sister, Elizabeth Shamblin Hannah, declares her intention to take her mother's following to the next level. It's a notion that people who say they've been hurt by Remnant find difficult to accept.
Yeah, what does that mean when she says she's ready to take this church to the next level? This cult to the next level? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
But you know what? People get misunderstood all the time. Sweet little Dolly Parton. She was misunderstood for a long time.
Are you kidding?
Helen Bird was, by her own admission, triggered.
Every fact wrong.
The voice on the recording, a reminder of her 10 years in the church started by Gwen Shamblin.
Love God first.
A church that Bird now sees as a cult, but instead of being Gwen's voice,
And you are so important to God.
the voice belonged to her daughter, Elizabeth.
She sounds a lot like her mother.
She didn't before. She absolutely does. And I think that that's probably what was most triggering.
I want
She does sound like her mom. That's crazy. And she's looking like her. I mean, her face, when Gwen died, she didn't look well either. You know, her face looked just completely sunken in.
want to make a difference. I want to make history. I want to start a movement around the globe.
The recording was from inside Remnant Fellowship earlier this year, as Elizabeth Shamblin Hannah insists she's now ready to pick up where her late mother left off.
My mother started it, and I want to not only keep it going, but to expand it around the globe in such an exponential level that anyone who sees it can pick it up and get it.
They're
Oh, that is just insane. But okay.
still spewing this propaganda.
Yep.
You know, they're still sticking to their guns. And they know that it's not the greatest place on earth. It's the sickest place on earth.
Her goal, Elizabeth says, is to become famous in heaven.
I want my name to be written in heaven. And
To become famous in heaven? Wow. Okay.
I want to be friends with the greats. And I want them to know that every day I woke up, that I was not here for myself. I was here to make the movement happen.
She says, I want to be friends with the great, and I want them to know that every day I woke up that I was not here for myself. I was here to make the movement happen. What does that mean?
It's incredible hubris. You know, it's wow. Really?
I have so much sympathy for my sister.
And this is Michael, by the way. He has since left the cult. He's spoken out. I think he's coming about, really coming into terms as far as his role and what he played in this whole situation.
This comes as Michael Shamblin speaks out against the church where he was once a leader, though he's still reluctant to say anything critical of his younger sibling. Elizabeth's husband was killed in the same plane crash into Nashville's Percy Priest Lake.
Do you guys think that the reason why Michael hasn't said anything critical about his sister is because maybe he views her as much as a victim as he is, or others as well? I mean, that could very well be the case.
took the lives of her mother and other Remnant leaders.
And my children went to Lipscomb, okay?
When we first met Elizabeth 20 years ago, she was right at her mother's side,
You all need to know Gwen Shamblin.
a role she continued to play. Remnant now speaks of being under Elizabeth's leadership, taking over from her mother, who the church considered to be a prophet.
Is she viewed as a prophet now?
She's viewed as having the lead. Like, I don't know if they call her a prophet, but she would be viewed as having a leading from God.
God, that whole prophet thing is so scary. Like suddenly you're a prophet, you're a prophet. Like what makes a prophet? And why does someone here on earth, why would they have that title?
You'll be lifted up if you follow this example. If you follow my mother and follow me as I follow her.
How about following Jesus?
Right. Why not just stick to Jesus? I mean, again, respectfully, whatever y'all believe in.
That's a good place to start.
Mm-hmm.
How about following Jesus?
It comes 2 years after an HBO Max docuseries that portrayed Remnant as a cult and Shamblin as a power-hungry cult leader.
So how could he be right or righteous if he's overweight?
Bird appeared in that series, which Elizabeth denounces as being full of lies.
Ridiculous, negative, and false
Truth.
national media
Truth.
that is so ridiculously
True.
that it is difficult for me to even watch.
She's mispronouncing true.
And I'm going to write this book about my mother. And
She gonna write a book about her mom? I mean, okay.
the world will one day see that she's a misunderstood woman.
I wonder if Elizabeth sees herself as a misunderstood woman. Was Gwen a misunderstood person? Are all people that are labeled prophets misunderstood?
Misunderstood, Elizabeth claims, about her role in the child abuse death of 8-year-old Joseph Smith,
Very
And you
true.
had a chance to tell her that was not correct.
That wasn't on there.
where our investigation discovered that Shamblin had praised the child's parents for locking him up in his bedroom for an entire weekend with just his Bible.
Her philosophies on child raising were awesome.
I mean, this is what she says. I mean, okay.
Incredible. She couldn't hurt a fly.
I think
She couldn't hurt a fly.
Joseph Smith would, disagree with it. Were he
If you
here?
were here.
Were he here?
She hasn't even stepped foot in the church that she leads.
And this is Michael speaking on his sister, Elizabeth. She has not gone to the church that she set up to lead.
Since the crash.
Michael Shamblin says he does not understand how Remnant can continue to follow a leader who just phones in her messages, lately just recording them.
I want to know how all these people follow a leader that has questionable backgrounds.
While some suspect Elizabeth may still be struggling after the tragic loss of her mother and husband, she insists that she's doing well thanks to the Remnant message.
Don't you want to join me? I'm a lot of fun, by the way. Don't just believe what you hear. You need to come party with me.
To what? Party where?
I don't want to go to no party that they're having. Never again in life. Have some reverence before the Lord. Have some reverence.
As for those who may ridicule her,
Because guess what? Every time they're rude and they lie about me, then more people in heaven hear about it, and I get a better standing again in heaven. So they're cracking me up. The more false things they write about me and my mother, the higher up I'm going to go.
Because there's levels to this, right?
Right. Yeah, because there's levels to this, right?
And they're going to epic heaven. Jesus.
but Elizabeth says she and her mother will get the last laugh.
You'll see that Gwen and I were just two little loving blondes who were born in the South at the wrong time. I mean, nobody wants a Southern woman to be a preacher.
And of course, this raises all sorts of questions. As I told Michael Shamblin, anyone who watched the HBO Max docuseries came away with the impression that his sister is just not well. That was understandably not a subject that he wanted.
Well, and shout out to Mr. Phil Williams, who's been following this story for I don't know how many years, well over a decade. Shout out to him.
To discuss.
What has the church said? They have been very vocal in the past about your reporting.
Yeah, and here they're being absolutely silent. We've reached out repeatedly
It's crazy.
and have heard nothing back.
I think Helen, her direct message, she's kind of speaking for a lot of people about this. A lot to unpack.
Absolutely.
And Phil, I just wonder quickly, for those who decide to leave Remnant Fellowship, does anything happen to them?
Well, from what we've been told, they're essentially cut off, and no one from Remnant will have any further contact with them.
And that should be the biggest red flag. any disconnection that happens at a, cult, church, following, place of worship, if there is a disconnection, nobody, no institution, no cult, whatever should be telling you, no religious institution should be telling you that you need to cut off of your family. That should be the biggest red flag to know that you're walking into a really disastrous situation. That needs to be red flag number one. Okay? Let me know your thoughts in the comments as we continue to give commentary and cover this. Again, more awareness, and shout out to Michael and every one of those former members that are speaking now and taking a stand on this. I truly hope that Elizabeth Hannah Shamblin, I don't know, she needs help. That's what she needs. I'll see you guys in the next one. Rabbits out.